Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras here with ILTV's Morning Briefing.
In a small altercation gone horribly wrong, an American former IDF soldier was just stabbed to death in Brooklyn, New York over a parking space. 23-year-old Omri Dahan and his brother worked together in a plumbing business. The two pulled up to their home Sunday night, only to have their driveway blocked by a vehicle belonging to 41-year-old James Jean-Paul. When Dahan's older brother honked the horn to get Jean-Paul's attention, Jean-Paul, who was visiting a friend in the neighboring home, came out. An argument broke out and Jean-Paul called for more help. The argument turned physical shortly thereafter, with one witness saying the elder Dahan brother tried to hit Jean-Paul with a baby gate. As if things weren't bad enough, the situation took a sharp turn for the worse when Jean-Paul pulled out a knife, slashing Omri Dahan's brother in the arm and stabbing Omri in the chest. Omri died of his wounds in the hospital a short while later, and Jean-Paul was picked up by police on manslaughter charges at JFK International Airport on the way to Haiti. The American Dahan came to Israel in 2015 to serve in the army, and his fellow soldiers laid wreaths on his grave and posted eulogies to social media. Neighbors and friends described him as warm and kind. Palestinians clashed with Israeli forces this morning as the IDF demolished the home of terrorist Omar al-Abed. Several of al-Abed's family members now await charges of failure to prevent an attack as well. Omar al-Abed was responsible for sneaking into the West Bank settlement of Khalamish and slaughtering 3 members of the Solomon family who were celebrating the birth of a new grandson. While Israel sees house demolitions as a deterrent to future attacks, and activists see it as a crime of collective punishment against Palestinians, Michal Salomon, whose husband was among those murdered, says the razing of the al-Abed family apartment doesn't go far enough. Quote, "Their house can be rebuilt," she said. "My home has been destroyed forever. We need the death penalty so that these terrorists will not be able to build a new home, and if not the death penalty, then we need to seriously toughen their imprisonment conditions and withhold from them everything but the minimum, things like television or the possibility of education." End quote. Al-Abed was shot during the attack but survived. He has not yet been charged, but he, his parents, brother, and cousin are all now facing indictments. Omar al-Abed for terrorism, and his family because they allegedly knew Omar's plans and did nothing to stop him. A Bluebird Airways flight en route to Tel Aviv from Hungary was forced to ground itself in Bulgaria this week when a drunken Israeli became too much for the flight crew to handle. In what is now the second emergency landing due to unruly Israelis in just a few months, the passenger who allegedly stank of alcohol continuously refused orders to be seated and even attacked members of the flight crew. After being forced to tie the passenger to a seat, the captain decided to land the plane in Sofia, Bulgaria, and had the passenger forcibly removed by security services. In a statement released by Bluebird Airways, the unplanned stop was estimated to cost thousands of dollars before continuing on to Israel. Top Israeli and American defense officials are set to meet later this week to discuss the latest developments in Syria. Mossad Chief Yossi Cohen is scheduled to lead a delegation to Washington along with Military Intelligence Chief Major General Herzl Halevi and Defense Ministry Political Military Affairs Bureau Director Zohar Palti. Jared Kushner, who is reported to have organized the meeting, will bring with him United States National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster, Deputy National Security Advisor Dina Powell, and Special Representative Jason Greenblatt, among others. While Israeli-Palestinian peace was specifically mentioned as not being a topic for these discussions, the establishment of an Iranian missile factory in Syria, as well as the highly contested ceasefire brokered by the US, Russia, and Jordan, are on the list. These two issues pose direct and existential security risks to Israeli sovereignty, and Israeli defense officials are prepared to brief the White House on what must be done. Also, reportedly in the Israeli agenda, is the possibility of creating a Kurdish national state in parts of what was Iraq. It is not yet clear whether this issue will be raised, but Kurdish representatives have allegedly reached out to Israeli officials for their support in the matter. For the first time in a long time, several top Israeli universities have fallen from the top 100 on Earth list. The Technion in Haifa dropped by 24 spots to spot 93 and remains the only Israeli university on the list. Hebrew University of Jerusalem, which was 87, and the Weizmann Institute of Science are both between 101 and 150 now, and both Tel Aviv University, Bar Ilan University, and Ben Gurion fell all the way past 400. Peretz Levi, who is the president of the Technion University, said the listing should be a warning to his and all Israeli places of learning, saying, quote, "Decision makers must understand that Israel cannot remain a scientific and technological power without massive investment in research infrastructure," end quote. I guess we'll see next year if his advice was taken to heart.
That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.